So the boring finals allegations literally never stood a chance for this finals. Like from game 1 to game 5 has been nothing but fast-paced, must-see basketball. Like big shout out to the Liberty, big shout out to the Lynx for just an amazing showcase. Shout out to Fee for coming out and proving that she's the best player in the league. Shout out to Jonquel Jones getting that finals MVP. There's just so much to go over, man, and we're just gonna jump right on into it. So roll the intro, man. Let's go roll right into it.
Whalen to trigger in. Gets it to Moore. Moore will get it off. The shot is good. Game 3 belongs to Maya Moore and Minnesota.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, Joe Paul, back in the building. Hope everybody's having a great day. All that good YouTube stuff, man. So what a series, what a series. You know what I'm saying? It came down to 5 games, game 5 in overtime. You really wouldn't want to have it in any other way. You know what I'm saying? If you're a fan of basketball, if you're a Liberty fan, if you're a Lynx fan, I know you guys were probably having a heart attack the entire game. But everybody else, if you're just a fan of basketball, you appreciated the series for what it was. It was just amazing game after game after game. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The Liberty bring home their first WNBA championship with a final score of 67-62 in overtime at home last night against the Lynx. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Jonquel Jones, who comes out and gives you 17.6 rebounds. She was really the only real constant the entire series for the New York Liberty. Like they had, touch and go performances from Stewie, touch and go performances from Sabrina, even Leonie Febich, who, you know what I'm saying, had a good series in her own right. She had a couple of games where she was kind of non-existent. Jonquel Jones showed up game in and game out. Without Jonquel Jones, the Liberty have no chance in the series. You know what I'm saying? Their star players were so inconsistent. They were so, hit and miss that if it wasn't for Jonquel Jones being the standard that she is and putting up, her stats were 17.8 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists on 56% from the field, 43% from the floor, 100% from the three. So she was 50, 40, 100 as far as her shooting split. So without that, the Liberty have no chance. Will have no chance at all. Leonie Febich last night came through and gave them a great performance. She was 4 for 11. The big X factor for that game has to be, they have 2 X factors for that game. It has to be Naira Saberly and Kayla Thornton, who both came out and gave major energy in that third quarter where they desperately needed it. The Liberty started off that game in that first half looking like they didn't even want to play anymore. They looked like they were so worn down. To me, from my vantage point, it just seemed like game 3 had taken so much out of them because they came out so flat in game 4. They came out so flat again in game 5. And you were just like, it's not what you expect. You know what I'm saying? A team has the opportunity to bring home their first championship after just the heartbreak that they dealt with just a year ago. You were just like, you expected more energy to come out. You know what I'm saying? Especially it being a home game and everything. And just, you didn't get that out the gate. You didn't get that out the gate. You saw that Stewie, you saw that Sabrina. They were trying to get it going. They were trying to, be what the team needed as far as a scoring punch, but they just didn't have it in terms of scoring. Stewie finished with 13 points on 4 of 15 shooting. Sabrina had 5 points on 1 of 19 shooting. Just absolutely abysmal for the last 2 games of the series. Sabrina and Stewie combined were 15 of 70 from the floor. Just those usually aren't numbers that are gonna result in you bringing home a championship, but they did. You know what I'm saying? Because the Liberty just showed that they were the super team the entire time. All the times that we were saying that the Aces were a super team, and the Aces, they were had this unfair advantage or this unfair talent disparity and all this other stuff. It was really the New York Liberty the entire time, because they can win a championship when their best players shoot 15 for 70 in the 2 closeout games. You know what I'm saying? Like, not for nothing, Brianna Stewart was phenomenal in game 3. To keep them in that game, she was hitting some crazy shots. I think she had, a 30-point double-double. Sabrina also came through and gave you that big shot at the end of game 3 to win the game. But outside of that, they just didn't provide the punch that you really expected from, 2 or 1 WNBA all WNBA first team member and another WNBA second team member. You just didn't expect that performance from them. But for what it's worth, they were able to get it done. They were able to persevere. While they weren't, phenomenal on the scoring end of the ball, I will say they both contributed in terms of assists. I think that last night Sabrina finished with 8 assists. Stewie had 15 rebounds last night. Stewie also was phenomenal the entire series in terms of her defense. Like, her numbers for the series were 18.6, 3.4 assists per game, 6.4 steals per game, almost 11 rebounds per game, 2.4 blocks on 33% from the floor, 25% from 3. So yes, while her shooting splits were not there, her shooting splits were fucking terrible, for being honest with each other. 2.4 blocks per game, 2.2 steals per game. That's indefensible. You know what I'm saying? That not indefensible, in a bad way. Indefensible in the fact that you need that to be on the court. That is a must-have if you want to have any chance in this series. A series where Nafisa Collier really came out and proved that she was the best player on the court, game in and game out. If it wasn't for Stewie coming out and putting in all that effort, putting all that attention, putting all that energy on the defensive end, there's no telling really where this series would have led. Sabrina also, saying she did a great job playmaking. I say that Sabrina didn't do anything the whole series outside of make that shot in game 3, but I got to give her credit. Her playmaking in games 4 and game 5, specifically in game 5, and also in game 3, I believe that what set up them taking the lead in game 3 was a Sabrina Ionesco assist to Jonquel Jones. So they did the things they did the things they needed to do in those moments, and you got to give them credit where it's due. They got to give them credit where it's due. For the Minnesota side of things, man, absolute heartbreaker of a game. You know what I'm saying? You come in, you come out super strong, you build that 12-point lead, and you felt like same feeling I had in game 3. You felt like with them playing the way they're playing, with them having this free-flowing offense, with them knocking down shots, as long as they're able to just play their game, they should be able to run away with this game, and it just wasn't that. It was not that. Fee came out, had a phenomenal game. She had 22.7 rebounds. Kayla McBride came and gave you 21 points. She was getting to the rim at will, literally scoring every time she needed to. They really, really needed a big performance of Courtney Williams. Really needed her to come out here and provide something offensively. Anything would have honestly probably given them what they needed to win that game. But 4 points on 2 of 14 from the floor is just not going to get it done. And it sucks that it had to be Courtney Williams, but I can't see that. I didn't see it coming, because she reminds me of a player like a Kelsey Mitchell. A player that, when she's going, she's phenomenal to watch. You have fun. But when the shots are not going in, you're just like, yo, please pass the ball to somebody else. And there was times in that overtime, there were times in the fourth quarter where I was just begging. I'm like, Courtney Williams, please just give the ball up. Like, just the way how you've been playing, the way how your shot, she was missing her mid-range shot, she was missing layups at the rim. Everything that she had made really throughout the entire series, it fell apart in this game, and just the worst time for it to happen to her. So I'm not going to pile on Courtney Williams too much. She really did do her thing. Same thing for Alana Smith, man. Alana Smith, she came out, and while she really didn't have a great series from an offensive numbers, her impact and need to be on that court was so high that she went out there with essentially no back, and she really was like, I would say she was the X factor for them, and them really almost capturing a championship. Like there was times in this game where she's on the floor, basically just like a fucking dead fish, just laying there like, I can't fucking move, but she just kept getting up time after time after time. Like, you can't say enough about this Minnesota team. They really had what I thought was all the pieces needed to win a championship, but just late execution down the floor, their execution down the stretch of games just wasn't where it needed to be. And they got outscored in the third quarter, a quarter where they really could have either just maintained their lead or just honestly built on it. They completely crumbled. They got outscored by 10. I believe they went to the fourth quarter down. 6 turnovers in the overtime period. Like, that's indefensible. And I guess this is where we're going to start a conversation about the foul call at the end, because of the one thing that I really end up feeling like selling the Minnesota Lynx was the fact that time and time again throughout this series, they would start off their defense with great verticality, but they would always lean their hands over as if they're trying to defend the shot, and time after time, the foul was called on them, and then after every single foul, they're like, what? No, it can't be. But that's the only consistent call that there's really been in the entire finals. Whenever you lose your verticality, whenever you start to put your hands like that, the refs are going to call the foul. They did it in game 1 when Stewie was able to get those free throws to potentially win that game. They did it in game last night. They did it when Stewie had the chance to tie the game at the end with overtime, and just that was like probably like the one piece of, I guess, discipline that this team really just severely lacked on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? I think that they do a great job, otherwise of staying, staying poised, staying, patient, and not, jump the pass lanes when they need to, blocking shots when they need to. But there's times just down the stretch of games, they did not maintain that verticality, and it burnt them time and time again. So let's go ahead and let's get into the call, man. Let's get into the call. So down the stretch, Breanna Stewart, it gets fouled by Alana Smith with the game on the line. Like, there's really no other way to put it. Breanna Stewart makes this shot. They go to overtime. Breanna Stewart misses this shot. The game is over. And so let's see just the entire little situation here. So first off, I don't know how the hell even it's not going to show here. I'm not even sure how Phoebe even gets this pass in, because Phoebe had to throw the ball from here, basically through Kayla McBride's arms, and then long enough for her feet not to steal it. An amazing pass. So everybody's pointing out the fact that Breanna Stewart did travel. Breanna Stewart traveled as soon as she caught the ball. We'll start the clip here. Boom. She took 2 little hop steps and brilliantly travels. Like, that should have been a call. Like, am I surprised that it wasn't called in that moment? No. Well, I'll tell you why I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because it just felt like how that fourth quarter was going, and it felt like at various times throughout this series, no matter what happened on the way to the basket, the refs were going to call a foul in the favor of the Liberty. In the favor of Breanna Stewart specifically, because it was time and time again that it was her. That she would just go to the rim and she would flail her long arms. She would kick out her legs and put her body in a wheel position. And they would get the call time and time again. And it was just weird because it felt like it was a call that Minnesota did not get nearly as often. And that's why it kind of like when Sandy Brunella came out after game 4 and was so upset about the calls and all that. Like, the fact that game did come down to a controversial call that, while it was controversial, I feel like you can make the case that that was a foul. For her to come out and be like, oh, I'm pissed off, I'm ticked off, that's not fair. It's just like, it makes me feel like Cheryl Reeves should have came out here and been like, I'm pissed off, I'm ticked off, even though she won game 4, because then maybe we would have got, you know what I'm saying, an equal balance in terms of the foul call. You know, the free throw disparity was, let's see, it was 25 for New York, it was 8 for Minnesota. So clearly there was just some imbalance there when it came to, you know, the free throws there. And that, when you're playing against us in a series that has just like such thin margins, like I feel like these teams were so evenly matched. They were essentially just like 1A, 1B in terms of the best teams of the league. They just did things a little bit differently, and that's what made them such an amazing final. It's just the conflict of styles. Just them having that huge edge on one side just kind of felt fair, because the edge was going towards the bigger team already. Like, the fact that the Liberty were just getting so many more free throws when they already are basically skying over a lot of these players, it didn't seem right to me. So Brandon Stewart goes to the basket. Lena Smith starts off vertical. Like I said, they always start off vertical, but then she kind of leans her arms forward a little bit, and the refs say that was enough to be constituted as a foul. So let's check it here. Look here. So she puts her hands up, and she does put the hands forward. And like I was saying, that's the one piece of discipline, because that's really what makes it possible for the refs to even make a call here. You know, if they just go straight up and they keep their hands straight up and they just have faith that they got a great contest, like, Stewie hasn't been hitting all day. This is not a good shot by any means. Like, if you just go straight up, I feel like you have a great chance of her missing the shot. But they got overzealous. They tried to, you know, make a defensive play here, and that's what leads to the free throws. And credit to Breanna Stewart, she knocks down 2 free throws, and they're able to go to overtime and win it. And that's just a tough way to go out, man. That's a tough way for the season to end, a tough way to watch the Lynx go out after watching them battle back time and time again throughout this series, whether it was them battling back from a double-digit deficit themselves, or it was them, trying to maintain a deficit, or it was them trying to, come back in the last couple of minutes. Like, it was just that they were such a resilient bunch all year, and for them to go out on such a controversial, like, widely, I would say now it's like widely known, just like widely felt that it's not a foul. This is not a foul for in the moment. This is not a foul for just like, it wasn't a good shot. Alana Smith did just about everything right, and they got penalized for the one thing that you could argue they did wrong. And that's just tough way to go out. Puts a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth if you're not a Liberty fan. I fuck with the Liberty, but just as a basketball fan watching that series, for it to go down like that, like, I'm more upset about this call than I am about the call in Game 4. And while the call in Game 4 was also controversial in its own right, I can see a world where Bridget Carlton, I can actually pull that clip up, man. I can see a world where this is a foul on Sabrina Ionesco. I can, because Bridget Carlton catches the ball immediately going up into a shot, and Sabrina Ionesco is boxing her out, pushing her out. That is a foul. Like, call it controversial, say that it's an unfair rule. Like, the fact that Bridget Carlton did not go over Sabrina's head, she did not do anything. She literally just jumped up, her hands up, and the ball fell in her hands, and then Sabrina was boxing her out and pushed her out, and that was that's a foul. That's a foul if you ask me. Like I said, I'm more upset about the call in Game 5 than I am about this, because I can just see a world where this actually legitimately is a foul, and I just don't think the one in Game 5 was a foul. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Sabrina. Shout out to Stewie. Stewie bringing home that 3rd championship. Sabrina bringing home that 1st championship. Unfortunately for Sabrina, she did lose the argument about if she's better than Caitlin Clark. She certainly is not better than Caitlin Clark. There's a reason why Caitlin Clark was 1st team, because if Caitlin Clark even had the audacity to come out here and average 11 points per game on 29% from the floor and 21% from 3, she would probably be burnt at the stake. And I don't make the rules, man. I just kind of enforce them. So Caitlin Clark, you are, you know what I'm saying, the top point guard in the league. And fuck all the bullshit, man. The Caitlin Clark era has officially begun in the WNBA, because starting this off season, they're going to start getting some pieces. They're going to start getting some, you know what I'm saying, some free agents. They're hopefully going to fire their coach. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. We'll worry about that when that time comes. Shout out to the Liberty, man. That's all I got for this one. Make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love, family.